Good evening. I want to welcome everyone to City of Little Rock Board of Directors agenda meeting for June 24th, 2025. This is our opportunity to review the agenda for our former board meeting that will be held on July the 1st. Board members, are there any questions on items 1 through 6? Director Hines?
Thank you. Chief, I think a little item 2 on the temporary station number 9. Am I having bad recollection, or haven't we already amended this contract once, or am I imagining things?
I'm gonna let Chief Durham speak to that. He's been the point of contact dealing with the various vendors and contractors.
Good afternoon. This is covering some of the, majority of the plumbing issues that were identified in the building that were under the slab. Once we got into that, contractors identified quite a bit of problems, and we had to go in and correct, as well as existing and some electrical issues that were identified in the building. Once we started in on the project, they need to be corrected and brought up to code.
Okay. Can you, you don't have to do it now, but what's our total outlay on the purchase and deal this? And we're moving in July 1?
We're making, yes, sir, we're making steps to get moved in right now.
Okay.
We have a partial CO of the building. We're making some corrections, and we're pushing to get a re-inspection in the CO shortly.
Great news, because that house covers Ward. We're right there on the boundary of Ward 4 and 5, so I appreciate it. And if you could just give me a write-up on how much our total outlay's been on the purchase and the upgrades, I would appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Director Phillips?
Thank you, Mayor. And this may be for Leland as it relates to Reservoir Park, number 6. I'm supportive of this and look forward to the bathrooms getting reconstructed and open. Can you give us an update on Reservoir? What else is on the to-do list?
Absolutely. Thank you. So Reservoir is consistently under construction right now. We had just brought to the board the playground. So the playground's been approved for $800,000, and we're under contract for that. So the playground is coming. This is for the restroom, and then it's the ball field. So we also have just gotten our contract back from Cromwell to help us finish. It's not doing the master plan for the park, not to be confused. We already had a master plan that they donated to us and had community input from that. This is to give us some of the construction details for the ball field, for the roadway improvements, and any kind of engineering that we need for the site. Some of that engineering, for example, is the actual final layout of where a few of these items go in terms of some new dirt work that we've put in. We received a lot of dirt work from CAW from their work adjacent to us.
Yep.
So if you go into the park right now, there's a lot of dirt work going on. And so because of that, we felt like engineering some of that site work was necessary. And currently we are filling the ball field with fill material so that we're making improvements. So not only are we replacing what was destroyed by the tornado, but we're improving. We also, right now, we have updated the pavilion and the tennis courts, but we're also resurfacing the tennis courts right now. So if you drive through the park, the tennis courts look blank. That's because we're in the process of resurfacing those, which wasn't anything to do with the tornado, but that will be a new improvement. So the tennis courts will be back online. And then generally, I know that when you drive through the park, it looks pretty rough because of the overgrowth and all the vegetation. Some of that is great because we actually had a deal with FEMA to do some dirt work for about $400,000 and replace the roadway. That was pulled from us, from the city, about $1 million worth of infrastructure. And so now we are doing a lot of that in-house because we didn't have that money. We have appealed that once, working with our emergency management staff, and we've been denied again, and we're working to appeal again because there's some disagreements or confusion, let's say, on who did what damages to the roadway during the tornado aspect of the cleanup for the city.
Okay, well, I appreciate that update. I know people ask about it, so I just kind of want to have some clarity so I can share. So thank you for that.
I understand. Thank you very much.
Yep, that's all I have, Mayor.
There it is. You got it.
Blue. Director, you mind coming back? I just wanted to ask, because as you know, I get quite a bit, I will say, requests about bathrooms in the park. So can you give some details on like how many stalls are at Reservoir Park and just the maintenance, the cleaning, how does that work? Is that something with the city that we provide, or do we use a third-party company? What
Right.
all goes into a restroom at the park?
So I'll just say restrooms in general. You referenced Reservoir. Reservoir did have two. Obviously, all that's gone. We're replacing that. But in terms of restrooms, that's one of our biggest challenges. So we have a multitude of different types of restrooms throughout our parks, from newer prefab restrooms that have family rooms in them so that you could have different type of occupancy in those, and then you have a men and women's. That's a typical standard restroom that we've been building lately. But we have restrooms that go way, way back, back to the 50s and 60s that don't meet any kind of code, and we are starting to hopefully replace those. However, that comes to a capital item, right? Then we also have in parks porta potties. Some parks do have permanent porta potties, and we actually build enclosures around those, and then we clean those. An example of that, which actually doesn't have an enclosure, is actually Riverfront Park has a porta potty. You know, it's terrible to say that, but our Riverfront Park doesn't have a, you know, dedicated restroom facility. So we have all kinds of different ones. There's also an agenda or a discussion of restrooms in terms of if it's a neighborhood park, I don't recommend having a restroom, right? Because we're saying that that's a neighborhood park where you're gonna go, you're within your neighborhood. We're not trying to provide full services with parking and restrooms for people to come and stay a long time because of the size of the park. So that's another definition as well, or another, you know, subject matter to discuss. So there's a lot more to go in that. We also have staff that clean them, but as long as I've been doing this, as soon as we clean them, they can be destroyed again. So we get a lot of phone calls that say, wow, you know, you haven't cleaned the restroom at Allsup Park in months or whatever. Well, it's because we clean it and then somebody else comes right behind us and does something to them, which is out of our control. We have looked into hiring contractors to clean restrooms, and that's an expense right now that is over and above the maintenance dollars that we have. We have occasionally hired maintenance contractors to come in and do what we call like a deep clean. We've also purchased equipment such as steam cleaners and stuff, so our staff can do some more deep clean. But it's an ongoing challenge for our department.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks for that detail.
Absolutely.
Any questions on any of the planning items? Director Hines?
Yeah, yes, on item 8, and I'm not trying to step on Director Webb's, but I thought we had already addressed this. Okay, so, no, whoever got the answer, because I drove by it today and I thought, why is that still like that?
If I can clear it up, there was a notification issue. It was not notified properly, so before we tore it down, we thought we might want to do it correctly.
So what are we doing about the tanks that are in the ground?
We've already done the assessment, the environmental assessment on it. I think we spent maybe $8,000. The tanks can stay in the ground. They're not leaching out, so they can stay there and be filled in, or they can be used again, maybe if another gas station were to purchase the property after demo.
Well, all right, I just want to make sure we're not biting off more we can chew. I know we'll put a lien on the property, but it seems that the developer has chosen to abandon it versus doing what's right. So.
Yes, sir. We just learned today that it had been foreclosed on, so the bank has the property.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions on item number 9? If not, Lenny, did you want to give us a brief update?
Thank you, Mayor. So very briefly, we've been working with the Sustainability Commission to provide our second year of Plastic-Free July campaign. It's an awareness campaign focused on single-use plastics, which some of the directors have made mention being concerned about microplastics and so forth. So just doing due diligence, trying to reduce the waste that's involved in a one-and-done, single-use plastic. We're asking the board to use the aluminum cups we'll provide for each meeting next month. And then we've got a giveaway, just something fun to get the community involved. This year, so we're also partnering with Green Corner Store out of Soma, and this year also the Arkansas Museum of Fine Arts to just kind of collaborate and bring a little more broadly this message to Little Rock. So stay tuned for that. We'll be doing a presentation for the press tomorrow at the Little Rock Sustainability Commission meeting.
Thank you so much. I think Director Phillips, then Director Hines. Or whoever's seat 6. Are you seat 6? Oh, seat Director. Well, it doesn't have the names on there right now.
Thank you, Mayor Scott. Thank you, Lenny. And I just also wanted to add, if you notice that green recycling bucket that's right up here, if you will drop any cups or bottles or papers in there, we'll get recycled.
Thank you so much. Director Hines?
Yes, Mayor. I guess we ask Manesh and Grant, since we got an email from the chief, why exactly do we have so many side loader units in fleet for repairs and not operating?
Grant?
So as of today, we had 26 total units down. That's anything from a side loader to rear loader to knuckle boom piece of equipment, and you know it's constantly a struggle to keep our equipment on the road just due to the age of the fleet, and so fleet is doing everything that they can to work overtime and help make sure we have enough trucks to at least get the garbage picked up on time. That's our main priority, and if we do have a shortage of trucks, we're using yard waste crews to help pick up garbage, but at the end of the day, we're getting it picked up.
So we don't have any of our new equipment broken down?
Some of our new trucks have been in and out of the shop quite a bit. A lot of times when you get a brand new truck, they're all custom made, so they have electrical issues and wiring stuff that has to get sorted out, and so we have had several of our new vehicles in the shop.
Okay, so none of it having to do with failure to do pre-trip maintenance by the crews and failure to notate that automatic lubricating reservoirs were empty and it broke because we aren't requiring our employees to do the basic pre-trip maintenance that a CDL license requires per DOT regs? And before you answer, what I would like is what the standard operating procedure and what the job requirements are for our CDL operators on those trash trucks. Because I know what the answer is.
Yeah.
And it's not a failure on our employees' part, the front line, it is a management problem. And I am very wary of giving any kind of rate increases because we can't take care of the huge investment we've made in those trucks. And it's stuff I continue to see, and I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. I'm going to shine a light on it every time I hear about it, every time I see it. I already knew the answer. Y'all should know better. If I'm asking a question, I know what the answer is. That's all I have. Thank you.
Grant, proceed.
So as it relates to pre and post trip inspections, the process is very manual right now. It's a piece of paper that each driver fills out and inspects their truck. Right now, we're not doing the best job of going back behind them and verifying that all of their pre and post trips were done successfully. However, we are, as part of our collection software pilot, we're also piloting the pre and post trip inspection that is DOT compliant, that will require employees to take pictures of every single thing that they're checking off and saying that they're good. So that'll give management and supervisors the ability to go back, check, were these pre and post trips done properly? And so that's one thing that we're doing to improve that process right now, and I think it'll make a huge impact as it relates to, daily maintenance of our vehicles. We have, within the last 2 months, implemented a procedure for greasing our fleet on a every other day basis. And so right now we have 6 dedicated people that are greasing garbage trucks every single morning and every single afternoon in an attempt to grease at least every single vehicle once every other day.
Director Hines?
So on this equipment, my understanding is that's something that should be happening on the side loaders every day.
That's correct.
Okay. So, I think our standard falls 50% below what the minimum is. I work in commercial trucking.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Would it surprise you that our LRPD officers have a pre-trip, post-trip on their vehicles they do every day, that our fire department does it? But why can't we manage to do it in our solid waste division? That baffles me, because the equipment is as expensive, if not more, than what the fire department has. That is not a failure on our frontline employees. It's a failure on not holding them to their job expectations on the management side. And so I would expect to see some type of action with your management team to improve that, because obviously it's not happening. And that brings up the other issue I have, and this goes to the street department. I requested some information on our policies and procedures with our contractors for right-of-way mowing and our medians. I expect to get that. I'm looking at Chenal Parkway, and Chenal Parkway traverses multiple wards, just not mine. And it's a code violation all the way from Financial Center all the way out to Wellington Hills. It's at least a foot tall. And this goes back to what we talked about last year. We aren't even holding our contractors to the minimum deliverables in our contracts we've signed with them that we're paying them for. And it hasn't improved. I can see it. It's not that once they mow, it's not being blown, it's piled off. So either we're not street sweeping or we're not holding them accountable. That's another management issue. We're not managing our contractors. We're not even managing our own crews. Thank you.
Anything else, Grant?
No, sir.
Thank you. Any more questions on item number 9? I guess that's it. Anything else before the meeting adjourns? Anything else before the meeting adjourns? One last time. Anything else before the meeting adjourns? Meeting adjourns.